The city experiences its hottest day on record. Eastern China braces for strong winds and heavy rain as tropical cyclone Dolphin approaches. Global community arrives in Japan's Nagasaki on the 81st anniversary of atomic bomb attack. Good evening. Welcome to TVB News. The Hong Kong Observatory records a maximum temperature of 36.9 degrees Celsius, the highest since the city first began keeping records in 1884. Some areas push close to 40 degrees as the territory continues to be affected by the outer subsiding air of tropical cyclone Dolphin. Mimosa reports.
Under the blazing sun, not many people are seen walking outside. For those who are outdoors, most of them have tools to shield against the sunlight, including umbrellas, protective clothing and hats. But not everyone minds the heat. This beach is busy with swimmers as well as those who simply enjoy the sunny weather.
Well, it's been raining all along, so this is one of the first sunny weekends, so yeah, gotta enjoy the sun, whatever it takes.
I'll go to the library and sit outside because it's nice. I like it outside. At home I have fans, but I don't take any with me.
On Sunday afternoon, the observatory recorded a maximum temperature of 36.9 degrees Celsius, while temperatures in some districts exceeded 38, including Happy Valley and Wong Tai Sin. In Shanshou, the mercury reached 39.8 degrees, breaking the highest record in Hong Kong since the observatory's commencement of automatic weather station installation in the 1980s. The observatory says the outer subsiding air of Typhoon Dolphin is bringing extreme heat to Guangdong. At 6 p.m., Dolphin was centered about 50 kilometers east of Wenzhou, Zhejiang. It will move across the province and tour inland in the next couple of days. Looking ahead, the observatory says the blistering heat will continue to affect Hong Kong at least until Tuesday. Meanwhile, a 60-year-old hiker died after suspected heat stroke. The man was hiking in Taibo Plover Cove Reservoir before he suddenly collapsed and became unconscious. Moments 9, TVB News.
The amber heat stress at work warning has been enforced for most of the day. The Labour Department issued the amber heat stress at work warning at 7 a.m., while the Hong Kong Observatory recorded the highest temperature of 36.9 degrees Celsius in the afternoon. The heat stress at work warning remains at the lowest level. The department will only issue the red warning when the Hong Kong heat index reaches 32 but below 34. It currently sits at 27.3. The index factors in not only temperature but also humidity, airflow and solar radiation levels. A labour union says authorities have issued nearly 200 heat stress warnings so far this year, but all of them are amber. The union thinks authorities should lower the threshold for higher warning issues. Severe tropical cyclone Dolphin is expected to make landfall between Zhoushan in Zhejiang and Fuding in Fujian tonight through Monday morning, with heavy rainfall expected. It passed through the northern waters of Taiwan this morning, with wind and rain intensifying in Taipei, and multiple flights between Taiwan and Shanghai were cancelled. As Typhoon Dolphin gradually approaches the coast of Zhejiang and Fujian, coastal fishing villages are experiencing high winds and rough seas. In Fujian, the typhoon emergency response is raised to level 2. Authorities expect parts of the central and eastern areas of Zhejiang will experience extremely heavy rainstorms, and National Meteorological Observatory has issued the highest level typhoon warning. Affected by severe tropical cyclone Dolphin, flights and high-speed rail services between Hong Kong and mainland China have been disrupted. As Dolphin gradually approaches Zhejiang, multiple airlines have reported flight disruptions. Cathay Pacific, Hong Kong Airlines and China Eastern Airlines have cancelled a total of more than 20 flights from Hong Kong to Shanghai throughout the day. A total of 20 flights from Shanghai to Hong Kong have also been cancelled. On the Hong Kong to Ningbo route, 2 flights have been cancelled today, and Hong Kong Express has postponed its departure to Monday morning. Meanwhile, 3 flights from Ningbo to Hong Kong have been cancelled. Land transport has also been affected. Over today and tomorrow, high-speed rail services have cancelled a total of 6 trains departing from West Kowloon to Guangzhou and Shanghai. An air conditioning catches fire in flat in Taikoo Shing's Begonia Mansion Harbourview Gardens, sending 11 to hospital. Police received report of a fire at around 3 p.m. A number of residents fled their flats, with some 20 of them headed to the rooftop to take refuge. A total of 11 individuals were sent to hospital, with some spotted with their head bandaged. Some were carried away on stretchers, while others required oxygen masks as they were sent to seek further medical attention. The government will host a second district consultation session for the city's first 5-year plan and the 2026 policy address. Chief Executive John Lee says the administration will announce the blueprint for the plan in September at the earliest. Mimosa Ngai reports.
Chief Executive John Lee and senior officials arrived at Kowloon Town Government Primary School for the district consultation. About 120 members of the public attended the 2-hour event, raising topics such as Hong Kong youth's opportunity and talent attraction. This man says young people hope to transform themselves through working in high-value-added industries. Lee states the government plans to create more new job opportunities for the youth and help local SMEs to elevate. One resident suggests Lee establish a building maintenance department to supervise renovation projects in Hong Kong. He says the manpower of the proposed bureau can be deployed from the Fire Services Department, the Labour Department, the Buildings Department, and the Urban Renewal Authority. The chief executive says the proposal is worth exploring. Speaking to the media after the session, Lee says the administration has received 13,000 suggestions for the 5-year plan and more than 8,500 for the policy address since the consultation period was launched in June. Separately, he mentions nearly 92% of One Food Court owners have signed a letter of acceptance for the government's acquisition plan, while more than 65% have completed the sale and purchase agreement. Mimosa Ngai, TVB News.
Nagasaki marks the 81st anniversary of the U.S. atomic bombing of the southern Japanese city, with its mayor denouncing growing support for the nuclear deterrence in the global community, including Japan. He demanded his own government to do more for nuclear disarmament. This as representatives from more than 90 countries attended a memorial at Nagasaki Peace Park. Tracy Furness reports.
At 11:02 a.m., the exact time when the plutonium bomb exploded above Nagasaki, participants observed a moment of silence. The Nagasaki Peace Memorial ceremony taking place in the Peace Park in Nagasaki City. Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi offers a flower wreath at the memorial at the Peace Statue. Then others bring their offerings to the Peace Statue. The Prime Minister then offers her condolences to honor the souls of the atomic bomb victims. She says the devastation caused by the atomic bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki 81 years ago must never be repeated. She went on to say Japan firmly upholds the 3 non-nuclear principles, and under the oath of let Nagasaki be the last place to suffer an atomic bombing, we continue our unwavering efforts towards the realization of a world without nuclear weapons, as the only country to have suffered atomic bombings during the war. Nagasaki Mayor Shiro Suzuki warned leaders of nuclear deterrence, saying that leaders of the nuclear states and nations relying on nuclear deterrence must face the reality that the more you rely on nuclear deterrence, the more you increase the risk of a nuclear war. The atomic bomb dropped by the United States on Nagasaki on August 9, 1945, killed 70,000 people, 3 days after the bombing of Hiroshima that killed 140,000. Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945, ending World War II and its nearly half-century of aggression across Asia. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
And still ahead, Spain retaliates against Italy's sanctions with heightened border control. Pentagon asks weapons firms to boost output amid reports of dwindling stockpile. And police arrest 147 in the latest operation targeting Triad-linked money laundering syndicate. Welcome back. A diplomatic spat between Spain and Italy over the rush of tens of thousands of migrants to the Spanish territory of Ceuta escalated on Saturday after the government in Madrid announced border controls on Italian travellers. This in response to Rome's decision to impose sanctions on visitors from Spain. Tracy Furness has more.
The Spanish government says the controls would stay in place for at least a month after Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni rejected Spain's warning on Friday that it would take proportionate measures to protect the interests and dignity of its citizens if Rome didn't lift its restrictions by an August 9th deadline. Italians arriving at Barcelona airport were subject to random police checks after the controls were put into effect overnight. Angelica, a passenger from Bari, Italy, says they didn't ask for anything, the ID card or passport. This trip went well. Tamara, a relative of a passenger, says, I think they are protecting their country from everything that's happening here in Spain. Over here, we are being very permissive in a lot of things. I don't see it as something too bad, what Italy is doing. Maria, travelling from Naples, says they've created a fear of big border controls, but in the end, it wasn't like that. Italy began enforcing air and sea border controls on Spanish citizens on August 1st, following Meloni's scathing criticism of progressive migration policies of Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez that has allowed more than 1 million people to apply for amnesty at the end of last month. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Iran and Oman are reportedly very close to finalizing an agreement on a proposed temporary maritime transit route in the Strait of Hormuz. The developments follows continuous clashes at sea that disrupted global shipping lanes after Iran effectively choked off the strait's passage in late February. However, senior Iranian figures maintained the strategic waterway would not fully reopen without major concessions from the US. Iran's Merk news agency on Saturday released an undated 12-second clip of the country's supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei for the first time on social media platform Telegram. Mojtaba Khamenei, who has been out of public eye since his father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was assassinated in a US-Israeli strike in February, appeared to be talking to people surrounding him in the rare footage. A report by the official news agency IRNA indicates a deal between Iran and Oman is very close regarding a temporary route for maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, which runs between the two countries. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has said the Hormuz talks were held between the two sides' military and naval forces based on available maps, and that the temporary route would serve as the basis for the main permanent route to be designated later. He pointed to other conditions that would need to be met to fully reopen the strait, chiefly demanding Washington to compensate Iran for its violation of a peace memorandum of understanding signed in June. Oman's foreign ministry depicts their ongoing negotiations as positive and constructive, while simultaneously issuing a stern warning of repeated attacks on vessels, including a recent missile strike on a vessel belonging to the United Arab Emirates Abu Dhabi National Oil Company that transited the strait. Also on Saturday, Iran shows off on social media the wreckage of some of the US and Israeli warplanes they brought down in recent months. State-run Press TV claims a US F-15 fighter jet and several drones were shot down by Iranian air defense systems. This as the US Central Command announces it has redirected 53 commercial vessels, disabled 2 and boarded 2 as part of its blockade against Iran. US Vice President J.D. Vance reveals progress on Iran talks over the past few days in an interview with Fox News, saying the US is still in the middle of the game and expects oil and gas supplies from the Gulf region to remain at pre-conflict levels. Vance notes Washington is working on setting up a traffic scheme, including demining, to ensure the safe passage, and seeks Tehran to commit to not firing on commercial vessels. Ukraine has reached a deal with the United States on monthly deliveries of interceptor missiles for the Patriot air defense system, as the Pentagon issues directive to American defense firms to drastically ramp up weapons production in a bid to replenish the diminished stockpile of munitions. With the Iran war draining U.S. weapons stockpiles, Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell says they have been actively focused on boosting munitions acquisitions to provide the weapons American warfighters need at the pace the threat demands. In a memo obtained by The Washington Post, U.S. Deputy Defense Secretary Steve Feinberg gives industry leaders no more than 21 days to submit plans to drive significantly faster, more aggressive delivery schedules and/or increase production for critical capabilities. Panel affirms the existence of Feinberg's memo. The official adds the fiscal year 2027 budget being considered could supercharge the effort to accelerate production, and that it will inform the fiscal year 2028 budget submitted to Congress for funding. The defense bill demanded by President Donald Trump is currently stored on Capitol Hill, with lawmakers pushing against the war in Iran and resisting a White House request to boost military spending to $1.5 billion. Trump has recently bristled over reports of a munitions shortage and claimed on social media the U.S. has massive amounts, though tempers flare over the issues behind the scenes. CSIS estimated last month that the number of Patriot interceptors dropped from 2,330 before the war to 1,030 when the ceasefire took effect. The current stockpile is estimated to be between 759 and 827, down at least 65% before the conflict began. Speaking to reporters in Belgrade, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky denounces Russia's latest deadly attacks on Kiev on Saturday. He confirms the newly signed deal with Washington that will ensure a steady pipeline of Patriot missile interceptors to Kiev on a monthly basis, though the supply is still insufficient. British Columbia declared a state of emergency as fast-moving wildfire forces more than 20,000 people from communities in Western Canada, destroying homes as it raced toward towns along Okanagan Lake. The entire community of Summerland, home to about 12,000 people, was ordered to evacuate overnight Saturday, along with about 8,000 people in and around nearby Peachland. Officials had not determined how many homes were destroyed. Premier of British Columbia David Eby announced the emergency as more than 100 wildfires burned across the province, nearly half of them out of control in hot, windy weather and prolonged drought. Police have dismantled a Triad syndicate addressing 147 individuals, including the group's mastermind and core members. Authorities say the operation has successfully broken up the gang's money laundering network. Alina Wang reports.
During the operation, police seized assets including $3.65 million in cash and items such as luxury watches, drugs, mobile phones, and weapons totaling approximately $1.3 million. Police conducted raids over 2 consecutive days starting Friday. The targets include 4 drug dens, 8 gambling dens, 1 stooge account coordination center, and 1 money laundering center operated by the syndicate. Police say the syndicate operated through illegal gambling dens and drug dens, where it would acquire bank accounts from drug users and gamblers to facilitate money laundering activities. Syndicate members would break down cash into smaller amounts and deposit them into various stooge accounts. They would also set up online banking accounts for these individuals, followed by frequent online transfers. Ultimately, the laundered money would be transferred into accounts under the name of the mastermind's relatives.
And bank record checks shows that between January 2025 and August 2026, the syndicate has used various stooge accounts to launder more than 600 million crime proceeds.
A total of 93 males and 54 females aged between 19 and 72 were arrested, of whom 31 have Triad affiliations. They're all being held for investigation and will face charges including trafficking dangerous drugs, money laundering, and operating illegal gambling dens. The police urge everyone to keep their personal information and bank accounts safe and never give them out in return for rewards. Alina Wang, TVB News.
The government is promoting vocational education, but many high school graduates still aim for university degrees. The Technological and Higher Education Institute of Hong Kong points out it will take time to change stereotypes associated with vocational education. Facing a declining student population, future courses will be offered based on evolving industry needs. Alina Wang again.
With the fertility rate remaining low, there are only 1.2 applicants competing for each publicity-funded university spot on average this year, raising concerns that self-financed programs might face even greater oversupply in the future. Technological and Higher Education Institute President Alan Lau says on a TVB program that in response to the decline in school-age children, future courses will be offered according to demands. He says only courses that are necessary and beneficial to society and enterprises will be offered. For example, while Hong Kong has many new energy vehicles, there is no course dedicated to the field. He estimates the market will be huge in the following 3 to 5 years. A survey once found more than half of the secondary school students polled believed vocational education was only chosen by those with poor academic results. To change this impression, one of the government's measures is to encourage institutions to apply for designation as applied science universities. And THEI has also applied for such an upgrade. Lau remarks changing people's mindset will take time. He also stresses that for applied science universities, the most important thing is whether research outcomes can be put into practical use. Alina Wong, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.